Hi guys, this is Brad from Bradley Performance Products. Today we're going to be talking suspension modifications and how it affects handling. Okay guys, so what I'm going to be showing you today is effects that suspension changes have on the handling of the bike. So this is a fork cap which goes in the top of your fork that you all have, and then we have our preload adjuster that allows you to put preload on the spring. It's windy, isn't it? It's very windy here in Arkansas today. Many of you have purchased this, you know what it does, where it goes, right there to be able to put preload on the spring. One of our new parts that'll be out this week, hopefully, is our fork extension, which screws in place of this cap, and it is just an extension of the fork. It's a 2-inch extension of the fork. It will now have a hex head on top of it instead of just this ground surface, but it allows you to move the forks down in the triple clamps, which just raises the bike. Just like adding a Banshee shock on the back or a stiffer spring, you're going to raise the back of the bike up. So there's all these modifications to raise and lower the bike. So how does it affect handling? That's what I'm going to show you. Wish I would have ran and bought a little magnetized digital gauge, but this will serve the purpose. Just a cheap little angle finder. This blue bike here is just stock. It's stock height, stock tire, everything. When we're measuring an angle here, you have the angle of the forks, the way they are mounted in the frame, and this is known as your rake. This imaginary line that travels through the fork where it touches the ground, again, this is the angle of rake. The measurement from where that angle hits the ground back to the center line of the axle is known as your trail. So rake and trail both have drastic effects on the handling of the bike. Regardless of what speed that you ride it, if you ride them slow, if you ride them fast, rake and trail both have a drastic effect on handling. Now generally, people that ride in the woods that need that snappier reaction, that quicker turn in, are going to run less rake, and people that ride on the highway at higher speeds are going to want more rake because it increases your high speed handling. So let me show you what we're doing. These are a few examples. If I throw this up here, I see that a stock bike has about 26 and a half degrees of stock rake in the fork. Now this bike here is stock in the back, probably has a little taller front tire, slightly, but it has our preload adjusters installed in the top, raising the front end of the bike ever so slightly. And so now we're going to check our rake, and we'll see that we've gone from 26 to about 27 and a half. We've added about 1.5 degrees of rake, which makes for more stability at high speeds, and it makes the bike, it doesn't turn in as quickly. The steering feels a little heavier, but it also allows you to freehand it going down the road. You know, the fact that you can ride a bicycle with no hands is because of this rake. So the more rake that we add, a degree and a half is night and day. It's the world. So adding 1.5 degrees of rake in this bike has made the steering stiffer. It's more stable at high speeds, but it reacts less quickly in the woods when you're trying to negotiate things quickly and you need the bike to turn in extremely quick. Let me give you another example. Is when you guys that go to a Banshee shock or a stiffer rear spring or a taller rear tire like one of our 26-inch ATV tire kits, and you raise the back, then you've done the opposite. You've taken rake out and you've got probably down under, yours is probably something like this, and you're probably down closer to 25 degrees of rake, and you notice that the bike is no longer as friendly at speed on the highway, but it is really nimble feeling, and it wants to turn in really quick. So what we want to do is give you adjustability to be able to adjust these things out. The bike obviously handles really good when it's stock at about 26 degrees of rake. If you only raise the front and you add rake, again, the bike becomes more stable at speed, but it is not as nimble and it doesn't turn in as quick. So my third and final example here, this bike has swing arm extensions on the back from J&S. The J&S extensions, by the way, they go on really easy. That's a quick, easy install. It's really cool. It lengthens the bike, but it also raises the rear of the bike naturally. And so to balance the bike back out, we've added our fork extensions that'll be available hopefully this week. And so now we are setting at about 28 degrees of rake. And again, we can raise or lower the front of this bike with our fork extensions to set our rake just where we like it. And again, the point is to give you guys the adjustability that you need to get the handling that you want out of the bike. So if you guys are road riders, you're gonna want more rake, you're gonna wanna raise the front up or lower the back for more high-speed stability. If you just ride off-road and in the woods, you want less rake. You probably want it a little lower in the front, a little higher in the back to make the bike extremely nimble and flickable. But somewhere in that stock range of about 26 degrees of fork angle is gonna give you that stock feeling, which is just a good balance of both. So anyway, hopefully that gives you guys a little insight as to what we're doing with the preloaders and the fork extensions and Banshee shocks and stiffer rear springs, taller tires, shorter tires, all those things. We just want to bring adjustability to the suspension of a bike that is really not that adjustable. So hope you've learned something. Fork extensions will be out probably. They're at the plater. We want them to be zinc and clear to match the fork, so they'll be available probably next week. I think they're already on the website with some photos that we took of them. So questions, comments, subscribe, ask me below, and we'll get them to you. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you.